With Canyon's extensive range of bikes, you may be wondering where the new 2023 Neuron fits into their portfolio. It has slightly more travel than Canyon's short travel aggro-ripper, the Spectral 125, but less than the Spectral 29, its burlier trail bike. Canyon has set the Neuron out to be a true all-rounder, a bike that is equally adept on a multi-day epic or the lunchtime blitz. Those looking for a specifically rowdier ride should check out the Spectral models, but riders who want a bike for comfort and efficiency rather than all-out aggro attitude and speed should check out the Neuron. But should this bike be on your radar if your garage doesn't stretch to N+1? Stick around because I'll be telling you just that. Before I do, subscribe to the channel if you want to see even more independent reviews. Canyon is giving the frame a revamp for 2023, and following the rest of the industry, it's longer and slacker than the previous model. It now features longer front centers, slacker head tube angles, steeper and shorter seat tubes for a more modern silhouette. There's a massive 11 models in the range featuring carbon and aluminium frames, starting at $1,849 for the base Neuron 5 and rising to $5,749 for the range-topping CF LTD. There are also 5 frame sizes to choose from. The 2 smallest sizes features 27.5-inch wheels, and the 3 largest sizes roll on 29-inch wheels. There's also a Neuron Young Hero edition in frame sizes 2XS and XS for £1,499. Canyon employs its triple phase suspension across both frame constructions to optimize efficiency for its 130mm of rear wheel travel. This is matched with a 140 travel fork up front. Canyon says they've also shaved off weight, improved reliability and functionality with updated frame hardware, protection and cable routing. It also utilizes SRAM's universal derailleur hanger. The geometry and the frame lines have seen some important updates to modernize the bike. The effective seat tube angle has steepened by 1.5 degrees to a reasonable 76 degrees, which Canyon claims to improve pedaling performance, traction, and front wheel control on steep trails. The head tube angle has also been slackened by 1.5 degrees to a modest 66 degrees. This should help with stability at speed over the old Neuron. Reach numbers have also stretched out. A medium frame has grown by 22mm from 433mm to 455mm. Seat tubes have had 20mm trimmed off their length to help use longer dropper posts, and all bikes come with suitably long dropper posts as standard. On paper at least, these look like smart geometry changes to keep the bike capable of tackling a wide selection of trails. Canyon hasn't just updated the Neuron's shape, they've added several features to make the bike as user-friendly as possible to improve reliability and usability. This includes fully sealed cable routing from the headset to the rear of the stays. We'll let you decide if that helps or hinders those things. The main pivot has increased in width to improve rigidity, and the whole rear end features reinforced bolts for the pivot hardware. They also get new double lip seals and a special grease that Canyon states helps to keep the gunk out and protect the bearings. Canyon has also introduced a few new protection features to keep the frame in tip-top condition. There's a bolt-on down tube protector, which you can unscrew and replace with a new one if it's damaged beyond repair. Canyon has also added a frame feature you don't often see, the chain shield. This part of the bolt-on chainstay protection sits flush against the chainring near the yoke area to stop the chain getting jammed between the chain ring and the chain stay. Canyon has also mounted an upper chain guide near the main pivot to help keep the chain on when the bike is headed for rough ground. The integration of protection and connection between the front and rear ends must be one of the neatest looking setups I've seen. The frame also fits a bottle cage and has mounts for Canyon's load bag on the down tube. Internal frame storage is forgone in favour of simplicity and lightweight design. There are plenty of models to choose from in the new Neuron range, depending on budget and preferences of either carbon or aluminium frames. Both frames share the same suspension travel, kinematics and geometry, so both should have similar riding characteristics on the trails. That said, The aluminium frame does have a few less sophisticated details. The seat tube is curved, so it doesn't have the insertion depth of the carbon frames. Also, the internal cable routing isn't sleeved and runs only through the down tube. While Canyon has 3 woman-specific bikes in the latest Neuron range, there isn't a specific frame for these bikes. All frames are unisex. However, there are changes to a female-specific saddle and narrower 740mm handlebars on the woman's bike for all sizes. The women-specific models also get a different paint scheme to distinguish them. With the latest Neuron, Canyon has kept their young hero models to fit riders down to 144cm and tuned the suspension for weights as light as 30 kilograms. These bikes use extra small and extra small frame sizes with smaller 650B wheels, shorter crank lengths and narrower 700mm width handlebars. They do, however, keep all the same frame details as the full-size bikes, so young rippers should be able to feel perfectly comfortable on the bikes built to suit their needs. Canyon has also made the smaller sizes in the main range use size-specific components and wheel sizes. For a full breakdown of the model range, along with the pricing, sizing and geometry charts, check out written news stories over on BikeRadar.com with the link in the description. Now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for, my riding impressions. I've been riding the Neuron CF9 SL, the second most expensive model, and as such, there's no shortage of high-spec parts attached to the carbon frame. For the not inconsiderable price of £4,799, it's an impressive list of components which puts other brands to shame in the value stakes. The suspension comes from Fox with their factory level 140mm travel 34 Fit 4 fork and float DPS shock. A highlight from the spec must be the SRAM code RSC brakes with a 200mm front and 180mm rear rotor. It's a massive improvement to spec such capable brakes on a trail bike and will only boost rider confidence. The drivetrain is a full complement of SRAM Access Eagle. The Neuron CF9 SL rolls on carbon DT Swiss XMC wheels, shod with fast-rolling Schwalbe knobby nick and wicked wheel tyres. It also features a stiff 760mm wide race face Next 35 carbon handlebar and race face turbine stem. It's finished off with a Canyon G5 dropper post and ergon saddle. If Canyon were looking to make a mountain bike for the masses, they've hit the nail on the head with the new Neuron. With its low weight and fast rolling tyres, the Neuron CF9 SL covers ground efficiently and you can ride at speeds without draining energy reserves. The rear suspension is a little active when the shock is open, and when climbing on smoother terrain, I was keen using the shock's climb switch. I mostly set it to the middle position, which helped firm up the rear end without offering a harsh lockout. The Neuron's updated seated position put me in a comfortable place to deliver a strong pedal stroke, which helped when grinding up steeper and more technical trails. Over rough trails, the supple suspension allows the rear wheel to track the ground and maintain grip. The Schwalbe Wicked Wheel rear tyre is the limiting factor, and it soon becomes out of its depth in greasy terrain. However, for most rocky trails like you'll find at the trail centre, it's a strong performer and the low rolling resistance is a bonus on longer rides. Even with its 66-degree head tube angle, it's easy to control the front of the Neuron and negotiate twisting climbing trails and uphill hairpins with relative ease. On steeper terrain, I found I needed to weight the front of the bike due to the tallish stack height to keep it tracking where I wanted. This was only on the steepest trails though, and for most climbs this isn't an issue. Overall, the CF9 SL is a versatile climber and will allow you to get to the top of most climbs without being a chore. It's on flowing single track where the Neuron delivers a ton of fun. The speed it lets you carry down the trail and its reactive handling gives a lively feel to the bike. Still, the amount of travel means the bike has composure in rougher terrain and you don't feel like you're going to get pitched off at the first large bump. In slower, more twisty single track, the Neuron's geometry allows you to weave in and out of tight trails with ease, and the bike lets you accelerate up to speed again if you do stall out on an awkward section. On the downhills, the bike is comfortable on a vast variety of trails. It will easily provide you an engaging ride on flowing blue trails where the bike's fun factor lets you rail berms, pump and jump your way down the trail to carry speed. When the going gets rougher, the progressive suspension does a decent job of helping isolate the rider from the bumps and not blowing through its travel. I found I had to push the bike surprisingly hard, probably above where its comfort zone would normally be, to use full travel from the shock. I would probably remove a volume spacer or replace it with a lower size volume spacer to give the bike a more linear feel. I think this would allow you to maintain the efficiency of running less sag, but still able to use all the bike's suspension travel. Despite its more relaxing remit than the rowdier Spectral range, it was surprisingly capable on the off-piste and steeper trails. In these situations, you reach the limits of the tyres before the limits of the frame, suspension or brakes. It was great to see Canyon's spec SRAM code RSC brakes on a trail-orientated bike. The braking performance was excellent and they helped inspire confidence on more difficult terrain. The Fox fork did a decent job of keeping the front end supportive yet comfortable. However, the front of the bike is still quite stiff. That's partly down to the stiff handlebars, carbon rims and the fit forward damper within the fork. This tended to vibrate feedback into my hands on longer descents. A more forgiving handlebar and Fox's more supple Grip 2 damper would help in this regard. The nimble Neuron is happy to be thrown into turns and it can be flicked from side to side without hesitation. Through the corners, the bike is agile and fun, while its low bottom bracket creates a feeling of stability and calmness. Canyon has built a versatile trail bike that will work for plenty of riders and a wide variety of terrain. If you want to cover ground quickly, but still have some firepower for the descents, the Neuron CF9 SL is a good option. It can tackle all-day adventures and quick blasts around the local woods. The updated geometry and suspension offer plenty of security on the trails it's most likely to encounter. If you're after a versatile all-rounder that doesn't pigeonhole itself, the Neuron is definitely worth checking out. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Would you pick the neutral Neuron or the shreddy Spectral? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you want even more mountain bike content, then why not check out this video.